Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Being in leadership, I'll give you 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I've noticed, listening to the arguments that have been passed here this afternoon, and also earlier in the morning, I've noticed that it's getting a little personal, and I'm feeling a little jittery, because I know the subject matter is a person who is a family man with a wife and children, and friends and relatives, and they're all listening. So I think maybe I will start by reading the Bible so that we can bring down the temperatures. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32 says, "Be kind, compassionate, and forgiving to each other in the same way God forgave you in Christ." Now, verse 31, Mr. Speaker, says, "Put aside all bitterness, losing your temper, anger, shouting, and slander, along with every other evil." Mr. Speaker, as a member of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya, I didn't believe in the leadership of Kenya Kwanza. I opposed it from the beginning. Mr. Speaker, I am vindicated now because I can tell the people of Kathiani that I said that this government is rudderless, is leaderless, is planless. And Mr. Speaker, is also merciless, because within a very short time, the center can no longer hold. Mr. Speaker, former Senator, now Governor James Orengo, famously said in Senate that governments eat their own people. Former leader of majority of the National Assembly, Duale, was eaten by his government. Today is a CS. Former Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Kithure Kindiki, was eaten by his government. Now he's also a CS. Former Chair of Budget of this National Assembly was eaten by his government. Today is a majority leader. I don't know. We are now eating Rigiji. Where will he end up? Mr. Speaker, I have an issue of concern, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, is a Deputy Leader of Minority to assert that I was eaten by my own government, Honorable Speaker, whereas he knows I was never eaten by any government. I only stood firm against tyranny. I stood firm against the bullying that I experienced under that regime. The same bullying I have stood firm against a deputy president today who has been bullying members of parliament. And I have only put my chest forward to defend the rights of all these members, including the Honorable Robert Mbui, who was Honorable Speaker, when the deputy president visited Kathiani. He said to the Honorable Mbui that these Kambas are too few. They can never make a president. Kalonzo can never be anything. How can you defend a person who has disdain for Kalonzo Musyoka, a former vice president of this country? Mbui.
Robert Mbui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I love the passion and the humor in the majority leader. But Mr. Speaker, I'm also impressed by the energy that I've seen in this house, the vigor, the passion from morning. I mean, it is a first bill, or rather it's a first motion, where this house has gone up to public participation in the constituencies. Mr. Speaker, I only wish that the energy that we are expending here to send a question to all Kenyans about one individual was being used to fight the issues that are failing us in our education, in our health sector. People here, the cost of living has gone too high. People have no jobs. Mr. Speaker, those are the things that this House should passionately deal with. But Mr. Speaker, for a whole day, and from, I don't know, even the last week or 2 weeks, to deal with one matter, Mr. Speaker, I think that we are losing direction. And it is important, Mr. Speaker, that we deal with the things that are affecting our people. Because, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the education sector, I talked about it here the other day. We don't even have classes for grade 9 going into JSS. Mr. Speaker, the funding model for university has failed. Mr. Speaker, the insurance sector, NHIF, is having a problem, Mr. Speaker. How then do we spend taxpayers' money and time to come and deal with a matter of one single individual, Mr. Speaker? Now we are told that this person, Mr. Speaker, is a tribalist. But Mr. Speaker, those comments that he made, yesterday he made it very clear. And I was shocked. I was very shocked, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, to realize that in fact Kenya Kwanza was actually a company that is limited by shares, and that people negotiated shares for themselves. The mover of the motion is a member of MCCP. MCCP shares for Lower Eastern. Mr. Speaker, because we had 2 cabinet secretaries in this government. Now, Mr. Speaker, we only have 1. And I'm telling you, Mr. Speaker, actions speak louder than words. The Deputy President may have said that he is a shareholder and there are issues about his community, but if you look at the appointments that are being made in Kenya, then you will realize that the person of the President himself is the one who is the biggest tribalist, Mr. Speaker, because he's appointing people from his own community for every position. Mr. Speaker, if we have to find a situation where a school has failed, you do not fire the deputy principal. You get rid of the principal. Our problem is not the deputy. It is the head himself.
Farah.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
This is a house of... Mr. Speaker, protect me.
Mr. Speaker,
go ahead.
I rise to defend the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, against what I am calling mob justice, a process that has not given him the right of reply, a process that has gone on, presented some fact charts to the villages, and disseminated information to the members of public without giving him the opportunity to defend himself.
All your horses, Wamchomba. I was consulting with KJ. I didn't hear what you said. Can you repeat? Can you repeat what you said?
I can't hear you, Mr. Speaker.
Repeat what you said. I didn't hear. I was consulting with Honorable Member for Dagoretti.
I have said I rise to defend the Deputy President, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, against a process that I feel, personally as my opinion, it is mob justice against the Deputy President, because he has not been given the right of reply before we went for public participation. That is what I've said.
Honorable Wamchomba.
According to the standing order here.
Honorable Wamchomba, that is neither factual nor legal, because the Deputy President is appearing before this House at 5. So be factual.
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
Please allow me to execute my point, and you can guide. Procedurally, Mr. Speaker, the fact sheets that were distributed in our constituencies had allegations that were read out to members of public as facts. So to me, the fact sheets that were distributed in our constituencies were fact sheets that were communicating facts. But from where I come from, Mr. Speaker, what was typed in those papers was not factual and needed to be interrogated. And I'm glad that the Deputy President is appearing in an hour's time here to come and clear the air. Mr. Speaker, before I defend and I give my submission, I request you to allow me to refer to the standing order number 91 on responsibility for statement of facts. A member shall be responsible for accuracy and facts for whatever allegations that comes and disseminates from this House. Mr. Speaker, this morning we were watching video clips on our television in this House. Those video clips that were played in this House were reported speeches that were reported from various media houses in this country. Mr. Speaker, according to the Kenyan Constitution and the Data Protection Act, it is our duty to clarify information before we disseminate and use it for a quasi-judicial process like we are handling today. Mr. Speaker, I would want your guidance whether those media clips that were used this morning in the floor of this House by the mover of this motion, whether those media clips were qualified to be used in this process of impeachment. Mr. Speaker, my other issue is, I'll be glad that the mover of this motion clarifies that the allegation around the corruption issues on procurement matters have been taken through the right areas of Auditor General so that we can have fact to discuss this afternoon. Otherwise, according to me, the allegations that have been tabled by the mover of these motions are mere mudslinging, they are hearsay, they are gossips, and they must stop. And Mr. Deputy President must continue working for this country with all the energy, with all the labor, and with all the love that he has had. And those that feel that Mr. Deputy President has been biased into Mount Kenya politics, please forgive us, but we must tell you, everybody has their home. The Deputy President comes from Mount Kenya, and every good thing starts from Jerusalem. Even Jesus had to start his good work from Jerusalem. We are the Jerusalem. We shall continue allowing the Deputy President to do the work he's been doing in Mount Kenya, even as he tries and attempts to work in other parts of this country. I have personally escorted the Deputy President in other areas outside Mount Kenya. I know Mr. Deputy President has tried. It is barely 2 years before Mr. Deputy President continues with his work. Please allow him space to work. 2 years are not sufficient. Even for the members in this house know very well, they have also not been able to do what they promised their voters during campaigns. We are all elected members here, and we know we made pledges, and 2 years are not sufficient for anybody to use that as a basis to judge anybody on the performance. I support that the Deputy President be given the opportunity to serve this country, and those that are attacking the Deputy President for working on behalf of the Mount Kenya region, they must also accept that everybody has a village where they come from, everybody has a home where they come from, and every good thing starts from Jerusalem, just like Jesus Christ did. Asanteni sana, and I refuse. The Deputy President is going nowhere. He's going to stay here to serve us. To serve us as we gave him votes. Thank you very much.
Kagombe, the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to vehemently oppose this motion on behalf of the great people of Kirinyaga. Honorable Speaker, it begs the question, does it not prick our conscience as a House that barely 4 months after passing the grossly unpopular finance bill, which the President himself refused and declined to assent to, that we're here discussing an impeachment motion of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya? Honorable Speaker, the young people of this nation unequivocally told us to fix high unemployment levels among the young people, gross corruption at all levels of government, accountability issues in regard to leadership, our ailing healthcare sector, among other things. Honorable Speaker, many young people died on that day, Honorable Speaker. Several others to date are still missing, Honorable Speaker. It begs the question, the priorities we have as a 13th Parliament. Honorable Speaker, the motion before us is frivolous, it is baseless, it is lacking in substance. It is nothing but a shambolic political scheme to hang the truthful man for merely being truthful. Honorable Speaker, we must redeem the 13th Parliament, Honorable Speaker. We must ensure that we give...
Kasheris, take your seat. Yes, Donya. Give Donya the mic. Hold, Jerry, you have about...
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is Honorable Gachagua in order to bring things which have passed, like the finance bill, when we are discussing about the impeachment motion? Those... And Gachagua is my friend, but this one you are wrong, my dear. We are discussing about the impeachment of Gachagua, not finance bill. Let the foregone be the foregone.
Honorable Speaker, I would want the honorable member, who is my very good friend, to point what standing order she rose on and what standing order can ensure that I do not speak on matters that have been controverted and that are public information, Honorable Speaker. We passed the finance bill, Honorable Speaker. It is a matter of fact. Even if you Bumia will speak, the young people of this nation deserve more. They want jobs. They want healthcare sorted. The impeachment of the Deputy President is a sham political process.
Kasheri, order. Jerry shall be heard in silence and dignity. But Jerry, your time is up. Women rep of Migos
to Kenyans. So that, Honorable Speaker, we don't as a House go for what I'll call mob justice mentality, and at the end of the day, the other stages, we lose it. Honorable Speaker, in the past, this House has been thrown under the bus because of this kind of mentality, where we go, make decisions, and out there, when they go to the courts, a number of our acts of parliament have been declared unconstitutional, basically because as members, we come here and we start shouting and assuming that other people there are not watching. Honorable Speaker, what am I saying? I've listened to the grounds of this motion, this impeachment motion, and I've listened to my friend, Honorable Mutuse, making the presentation and trying to justify some of these grounds, Honorable Speaker. I want to pick a few of them and ask myself whether they meet the expectations in terms of saying that the DP should be impeached on those grounds. The first one, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of demolitions. In this country, Honorable Speaker, when you go to our constitution, it clearly says that Kenyans have a right. They have their own rights. And if the government has made a decision to carry out demolitions, looking at the hierarchy in terms of governance, the topmost person in terms of hierarchy is the president, is not the deputy president. So in a situation where that decision is made, and the deputy president says he doesn't support it, the question is, should you be harassing the deputy president or the president? Because the person who took the oath as the head of the executive is the president or the deputy president. So on the basis of those demolitions, Honorable Speaker, it is going to be very unfair to start saying it is the deputy president who is in supporting the president, because at the end of the day, whose decision did carry the day? That's the question. The second issue, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of shareholding. Honorable members, let's be very honest with ourselves. We are all politicians. We have been voted in. We represent constituencies. How many of you can say that you are not practicing what is being explained in this motion? How many? Let's be very honest with ourselves. Let's be very honest with ourselves that most of you, majority of you, are doing exactly what is being said in this motion. It's only that don't say it publicly. That's the truth of the matter, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Makali Molo, there's a point of order.
Yeah, I have no problem, Honorable Speaker.
Yeah.
I hope I'll be saving my time.
Mr. Speaker, on a point of order, my name is Steve Mogaka from West Mogrango. Is the member on the floor in order to speak about what I practice? What does he know about what I practice? Can he restrict himself to what he does and not start throwing aspersions on members of parliament as if he is in their minds and he is in their practices? He's not. Is he not out of order?
Yes, Makali.
Honorable Speaker, I really don't see any point of order there. I ignore and proceed. Honorable Speaker, the issue of the judicial officer who is being accused as one of the grounds for this. Honorable Speaker.
Order, Makali.
And Honorable Speaker.
There's another point of order here.
Point of order.
Take your seat.
Yeah.
Give Farah the mic.
Mr. Speaker, is the Honorable Makali, somebody I have a lot of respect for. In order to compare a member of parliament who represents a constituency and the functions of that member and somebody who is the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya who represents the four corners of this country, and say that because the members of parliament go and develop, my presumption is that he thinks the CDF funds for one constituency cannot be taken to another constituency. But that's a different thing when it comes to national resources and the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya.
Makali, wind up, your time is up.
You know, Honorable Speaker, I hope this is not just to drive me not to say what I wanted to say, Honorable Speaker. I can see a very deliberate move to curtail me from saying what I want to say.
Do you want
Honorable
information
Speaker,
from Nimrod Mbai?
Honorable Speaker, you know the thing is, Honorable Speaker, and Honorable Speaker, you need to protect me on a serious. You have been protecting everybody who has spoken. Unless also, Honorable Speaker, you're on the same side of those who are supporting. Because on a serious, Honorable Speaker, I don't think it's fair. You have been protecting everybody else. You can't protect.
Order, Honorable Makali Mulu. Order, Honorable Makali Mulu. You've been sitting here since we started. Order, Makali. Not a single previous speaker attracted a single point of order. If any came, the speaker will allow it. Not a single person raised a point of order. In fact, I'm being gracious by asking you, Nimrod Mbai wants to inform you, do you want this information? If you don't want it, you go on. But for you, Order, Makali Mulu. You know, when you lose your cool, you also lose the argument. So just be composed, say your bit. The speaker has no dog in this fight. Just say what you want to say, finish, and we give space to somebody else. And any member who wants to stand on a point of order, it's within your standing orders. He has said he doesn't want your information. Go on.
You know, Honorable Speaker, with all due respect, people have been making their contribution here since morning. Nobody has been shouting point of order. So, and it's my democratic position to oppose the motion.
Order.
Honorable Speaker.
Go on.
Honorable Speaker, I've been elected by the people of Kitui Central to come to this house 3 times. And nobody can assume that I cannot make my contribution. Honorable Speaker, I've been saying, on the matter of judicial officer.
Wind up.
The judicial officer has been accused of corruption-related matters, Honorable Speaker. And there is a court case, or as we are speaking. Are we running away from accountability as a country? When do we allow the courts to do their work up to the conclusion that as a house we want to make this as a ground for impeachment, Honorable Speaker? This is what we are saying. There is separation of power, Honorable Speaker, and we should respect that. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, the India of officers been called by the DP. Just called. How many of us here since morning have been called by the President? How many of us here since morning have been called by the Deputy President? Pleading with us to either support or oppose. Can you be impeached on that note? On a serious note, we need to be... I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, from where we are seated as a house, you go for mob justice mentality, you lose it at the top there, you are trying to reduce the credibility of this house to the lowest grounds for opposition of this motion. Is it a situation where a thief has been sent to court to catch another thief? This is a situation. Honorable Speaker, this country has much more serious issues than what we are discussing.
Your time is up. Order. I will now order. Take your seat. Order. Robert Mbai, Boy. Order, Robert Mboy. Give him 1 minute to finish.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker. So I was saying, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans have said that Kitui Central in particular has said, kufa makanga, kufa ndereva, kufa mechanic. Because Kenyans are more serious issues. And when they die, we want a new renewal of this country, Honorable Speaker. This idea of mob justice, we are not going to allow it in this country. Kenyans have more serious things. I oppose, Honorable Speaker.
Millie Odhiambo, to